All right, a happy Saturday. Hopefully everybody is doing great out there. Just finished watching a tremendous Denver-Philadelphia game. All I know is that Denver was up. I don't know what they were up, and the Myles Turner news broke, and then I turned on the game, and Philly was up 5 and then beat at 44. And I'll get to the Turner renegotiation in a minute because I think it's pretty fascinating. You can see it over my shoulder here, but we have a 5-on-5 that's coming out next week, and they asked me what's the one championship team out there who I think don't have to make a deal at the deadline, and it's probably going to get people off guard, and I say Philadelphia. And yes, I do believe the Sixers are a championship team. I have them going to the finals. I had them going to the finals before the season started. I think they're playing the best basketball of any team. I think they're 20-4 in their last 24 games. It's a shame Joel Embiid is not an all-star starter, but that's probably a discussion for another day. So kudos to the Sixers. Philadelphia fans, 47, 18, and 5. Woo! Hey now. Philadelphia fans, enjoy the night, and go Eagles for you Sixer fans out there. As far as Myles Turner, right? There's a lot of interesting parts here to this. We never see renegotiations, okay? Renegotiation has not happened since 2017. Robert Covington in Philadelphia. And why doesn't renegotiations happen? Because rarely do teams have cap space to renegotiate the a player like Turner, who has met the criteria, has hit the third-year anniversary. He's in year 4 of this rookie extension that he had signed. Indiana had 27 and change, 27, I think, $0.8 million in cap space. So what they were able to do, Turner this year had a salary of $18 million, okay? They were allowed to take cap space, right? Take some of that money and add on to that number for this year. The max they could go up to was $37,096. However, Turner had $2 million in unlikely bonuses in there. So that has to be a little bit of a buffer. So that's where we get that $35,096 number, because the $2 million of the buffer there. So Turner's number this year, and this is a huge coup, he's basically getting $17 million in new money for the next 4 or 5 months here. So it goes from $18 million to $35,096. Indiana's cap space goes down. Let me pull this up. Indiana now has $10.7 million in cap space to use up until the trade deadline. Here's the fun part of the renegotiation rules. Well, there's a lot of different things here. The first one is normally when a player receives an extension, okay? Like say if Damian Lillard or CJ McCollum or Larry Nance, some of these players that signed extension, the maximum in the first year after the extension number, so if the maximum number in basically year 2, so you basically extend a player for, let's say the first year is $24 million, the maximum in that number is an 8% or an increase or an 8% decrease. However, renegotiation rules are different here. The league allows you to take the first year of the renegotiation, which is the 22-23 season, and decrease that 40%, okay? So that's why you see basically Turner's number goes from $35,096 all the way down to $21 million. Now, the $21 million number, you can only increase or decrease by 8%. That is the maximum. So what Indiana did was they decreased it to $21 million. That's the first year of the extension. The second year of the extension is right around $20 million. Now, here's the thing that people need to realize. Turner is still trade eligible, okay? The extend and trade rules, the 6-month restriction, whenever we talk about players like that, are only if a player signs a extension that exceeds a total of 3 years. This did not. We have this year and the next 2 years, and the increase is more than 8%. It did not. It was a renegotiation this year. I have a strong feeling that the rules of renegotiation as far as the restriction on when a player can be traded is going to be changed. If this next year, Myles Turner is not going to be trade eligible. They'll put a 6-month restriction on there. However, because this is a renegotiation for this year, and it's not an 8% extension rule, and there's not 3 or 4 more years, the trade rules are off the table here. So Myles Turner, up until February 9th, can still be traded. His cap hit is 35, we mentioned it, 35,096. The new team acquiring him basically would have to pay that renegotiation number of what is it, $17 million here. Huge number. But Turner is locked up. Indiana next year has $94 million in salary. They're about $40 million under the projected under the cap. They do have some draft picks that'll probably decrease that number down to $25 million. So it's a good value contract. It's a win-win for both sides, right? Myles Turner basically gets a max contract for this year, included in a $17 million in new money. And then Indiana gets him on a $21 and $20 million contract for the next 2 years. What did I think Myles Turner number was going to be in free agency next year? Probably around $20 to $21 million. Remember, centers, unless your name is Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic and some of those other, Jaren Jackson's number is decreasing, 26, 24, 22. You are not getting max type numbers. And Myles Turner is a nice player here, but he was not getting a $30 million a salary per year from a team, especially a lot of rebuilding teams next year. So that is the Myles Turner renegotiation. A little bit of a recap. His $18 million salary gets bumped up to $35.1. Indiana's cap space goes down to $10.7 million. The number for next year decreases 40%, $21 million. The following year, $20 million. And Turner is still trade eligible. Have a great Saturday night, and we will all talk soon.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.